Hi guys, it's Anders. Today we are going to have a look at the Neve 33609 emulations. There's a couple of versions you can see on the screen. I've got IK Multimedia's version and UAD. Now UAD have two versions. There's the full version and the SE version, which is designed to do the same thing but with less CPU usage. So essentially what this is the bus compressor that you would find provided with Neve consoles through like the 1970s. I think it's 1969 it originally first appeared. And in terms of the Neve consoles, it's the alternative to the SSL G-bus compressor. So it's that 2-channel bus compressor at the end of your mixer where you can push everything into, essentially. That's what it's there for, and there's a couple of emulations of it, and I thought, why not, we'll do a little comparison of them and have a listen to them. So at the top I've got the IK Multimedia one. Next one down is UAD's main version, and right at the bottom is the SE, just for comparison reasons. Now the SE we're only going to compare right at the end. I'm going to do a little phase inversion test so you can hear the differences between the two. And I'll explain a couple of the slight feature differences. Now the IK Multimedia one's obviously not a strictly endorsed by Neve version. However, if you have a look at it, it's pretty clear what they're trying to do and what it's supposed to be. You'll see it's got about half the controls of the UAD version. It's simply because the UAD version is the same thing duplicated, so this top run of knobs here is actually the same below, and what they've done the IK one is just have the top row linked together, and then we've got the controls for the limiter separately, as well as the input and outputs, which are located at the end of the chain here on the UAD, are located within the parameters of each on the IK Multimedia option. Now if we mimic the exact same settings on here, we do get a slight difference. So the IK one, it seems to be compressing around 4. This seems to push slightly past. When we get onto the phase cancellation tests, I'll level them out a little bit more and you can really hear the differences, but at the moment with the settings matched, IK does sound louder to me. I might be wrong, but that seems to be the case. So what we're going to do is have a listen. So I've got a little snip of one of my tracks here. Going to listen to that naked with nothing on. Then we're going to go down to IKM Precision Comp, and that has just got the precision one on. You'll see that performing here. Next one down is the 33609, which is this one here. And then the SE we're going to leave and just compare right at the end. If you look on the Neve channel here, I have got the gain thing below it, but it's disabled, and that is just so that I can phase invert later on. So let's have a quick listen through these three and you can hear the differences, and they'll chop and change between the naked to the compressed one, so you can get a really clear distinction between what's going on. These aren't necessarily compression settings that I would use, but I've pushed it quite hard so you can hear the effect of the compressor. Okay, so for me the IK Multimedia version seems to be that little bit louder. It pushes the highs a little bit more and gives a little bit of distortion and a glamour to the top cymbals, whereas the UAD one seems to be a little cleaner, a little more transparent. The reason for that could be this little switch down here between the VU meters is 14, 18 and 22 is adjustable headroom on the compressor. Now the 22 will give you more the 22 will give you more harmonic distortion, 18 less, and 14 is the cleanest. Now for matching these, 14 seemed to be the sound that the IK one has been set to. If I pushed it onto 22, I'll give you a quick example. There is a huge difference between them. So now this is on 22 and we'll go between IK and UAD and you'll hear drastically what I mean about the headroom change. Yeah, so that's an incredible difference, right? So we've left that on 14 for the time being. I am, when we do the phase inversion, just going to try and match that 22 after we've done the others and just see if it gives a drastically different sound as well. I imagine it will. It's designed to add a lot more harmonic distortion to what I think the IK is doing. We're not 100% here, but this is what we're here to find out and compare, right? So if we move along here ever so slightly, here is a little bit that I prepared earlier. And we've got these ready to be phase inverted. So if I grab the UAD and get the gain on them both, now I'll show you both cases. There's nothing being affected on gain. It is purely a phase inversion. And what we can do to prove and confirm that, if we disable the IK Multimedia, if we disable this UAD, I've just got this one gain. Now if I play both of these together, there'll be absolutely no audio because they're cancelling each other out. See, it's playing, but it gives us complete silence. And the reason for that is the phase inversion cancels out. Plus versus minus is the exact opposite. It gives us a calculation of 0. If I was to move this by even the tiniest amount, we start to hear audio come through. While it's on 0, completely cancels out. So we can, by doing this, we can hear the difference of what's going on between the two plugins. So if we now play both of these together, we're just going to hear the differences between the two. So you can hear there's a lot happening with the kicks. The attack time, while they are both set to slow, seems to be different, which is what's giving that sort of stuttery, sheet flapping in the wind kind of sound. It's the kick compression times being different between the two, and it's causing that weird stutter. If we really listen to just the low end, you can hear what I'm on about. Whereas the top seem to be completely separate. The harmonic distortion that's going on one of the two plugins is making one so vastly different from the other that we can hear the audio. Now you can match these a little bit closely. So you know I said the IK Multimedia one appeared to be slightly louder. If we boost the Neve up a little bit, we get slightly more cancellation. Yeah, so around that 1 dB region, it cancels out even more. So it is that the IK is pushing a little bit harder than the UAD. And once we adjust for that, we get more cancellation. It's just that sort of side lead and again the kick timing that seems to be slightly off. Yeah, here how the snare disappears slightly more just by that 1 decibel change. Now what I'm going to try and do is push this onto 22, which gives a lot more harmonic distortion, and then try and match it as well. Now this is going to give us a real difference. It's going to be a lot louder. I'd say that's probably the closest there. That's taking out most of the audio. And again, it's that timing thing that's really getting it. How quick the compressors are kicking in and how they're performing. That slow setting is different between the two. Safely say it's ruined my audio. Cool, so let's scrap this guy now. We're going to completely mute him out, and we're going to try it with the less CPU intensive, or less sharp processor intensive, as it's UAD version, which is the SE version. So you can see that's obviously in black. It's got SE written on it there. Same settings matched as before, and we've got a phase inversion set up on there with another gain. So if we now solo these two guys next to each other, I'm going to move the SE up as well, just so we're working in a smaller space. I would argue that is very, very similar sounding. I think what we'll do is we'll A/B between the two Neves in a second as well. We'll try with 22 on the SE as well. We'll just move these around to save any confusion. And we'll try that extra decibel of gain, see if that makes a difference for us. That takes almost everything away now. I think it's safe to say that the full version of UAD is adding a lot more harmonics, and that's what was giving us so much difference in the top end, adding a lot of extra sound and audio to the mix, which is then giving us a lot of separation. So the IK is more like this SE version. Let's pop this on 22 and see if we can then match that as well. Almost completely going. It's right here, right around 9 decibels difference. But again, it's the timing thing that seems to be the biggest factor in it. Let's do it between the two UADs and see what we get here. So I've got them both on 22 headroom calculation. They're both around the 9 decibel marker. Let's not phase invert one of them, and let's see what we get. Fingers crossed I don't blow your ears out. Wow, so you can hear the harmonic distortion that's being added there, which I presume doesn't exist in the SE version, which will be where the extra processing power is saved. You can really hear it's just like distortion and hum being added, but it would all be harmonically relevant when in with the rest of the track. It's those sounds there you're hearing that add that warmness and fluff to audio that we associate with analog sound, or in this case analog emulation. Well, hey guys, that was pretty interesting. It was a nice little comparison to do. I favour the UAD, I'll be honest, in this case, the UAD full version, just because it seems to be a bit truer to what you're expecting. And I like the fact you can separate this out. You can do it on here as well, but I just like having these two channels. It's more of a nice feel that you can set each channel up as you like independently, which is something you don't see on the SSL bus. You've just got that one setting. They work independently, but it's all off those one settings. So this is great for working on really diverse stereo mixes. Guys, I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you on the next one.